Good afternoon in New York and Eastern North America. Good morning, Middle United States and Western parts. Good evening in Kurdistan and the Yazidi diaspora in the Middle East, United Kingdom, Europe, and thank you, whatever time of day or night, at all corners of the world. I'm Dr. Yael Danieli, founder and director of the International Center for Multi-Generational Legacies of Trauma, ICMGLT for short. Thank you for joining today's ICMGLT's webinar, Beyond Survival, Reparative Education and Civil Society Work as Pathways to Healing, Resilience, and Community Recovery after the 2014 Yazidi genocide, or ISIS genocide against the Yazidi people, more accurately. Those of you who require interpretation, please scroll down, find the little world image, and then find interpretation and click on the language that you require. This International Center for Multi-Generational Legacies of Trauma webinar is held in advance of the 12th anniversary of the ISIS genocide against the Yazidis, which takes, the anniversary will be August 3rd. Yazidi survivors, educational, civil society, and community leaders will share and reflect upon their post-genocide experiences and their ongoing efforts to nurture healing and foster the resilience of their people. Your moderator, I, am a clinical psychologist, a psychohistorian, traumatologist, and victimologist. Having developed the first program to help Nazi Holocaust survivors and their children in the 1970s, I have devoted much of my career to studying, treating, writing about, and preventing lifelong and multi-generational impacts of massive trauma worldwide, to ensuring victims' rights, the rights of future generations, and to reparative justice. This webinar would not have happened without the dedicated work of ICMGLT's Yazidi Working Group, in particular its co-chair, Zirak Hamid, who is also today's speaker. As always, we feel lucky to have Peshkafti, Jamal, and Saman as our loyal interpreters, and Dr. Michelle Sanders, also the other co-chair with Zirak of our Yazidi Working Group, for ensuring the interpretation. Today's first speaker is Najla. Najla is a Yazidi survivor and human rights advocate currently living in Germany. Born in Kocho Village in Sinjar, Iraq, she survived the 2014 ISIS genocide, during which both of her parents and two of her brothers were killed, and she was abducted and held in captivity for 8 months. After regaining her freedom in April of 2015, she relocated to Germany through a Baden-Württemberg special Quota humanitarian admission program, where she received medical and psychological support. Today, she advocates for human rights, with a particular focus on promoting the rights and empowerment of Yazidi women. Our second speaker is Zirak Hamid. Zirak is the founder and president of Patanga Organization for Education and an advisory council member of our International Center for Multi-Generational Legacies of Trauma. A humanitarian and educator from the Yazidi community, he has over a decade of experience in teaching, school management, incorporating community-led programs in education, psychosocial support, and trauma recovery for children and families survivors of genocide with Patanga. With Panaga. Third is Bazad Farhan. Bazad Farhan is the founder and president of Kinyak, a Yazidi organization dedicated to documenting the 2014 Yazidi genocide, preserving Yazidi cultural heritage, and advancing justice for survivors. He leads efforts to document ISIS crimes, identify perpetrators, preserve survivors' testimonies, and compile evidence for national and international accountability processes while safeguarding the collective memory of the Yazidi community. Fourth is Jenan Saido, an English teacher at Al-Shamal Mixed Intermediate School in Sinuni. Jenan is a graduate of the University of Al-Hamdaniya College of Education. She has completed professional training in civic engagement, peace building, and modern learning facilitation through International Research and Exchanges Board and Jesuit Worldwide Learning. Jenan has been committed to creating inclusive, student-centered classrooms that foster dialogue, respect, and meaningful learning in the aftermath of the August 2014 genocide. Last but not least is Naif Sabri. Naif Sabri is the founder and president of Sunrise NGO. He is a Lebanese American University alumnus, a Middle East Partnership Initiative Tomorrow's Leaders alumnus, and holds a master's degree in human resource management. He is a humanitarian leader from Sinjar. He has led locally rooted work in education, protection, livelihoods, peace building, and social cohesion for communities affected by conflict, displacement, and genocide. Within an hour after the conclusion of the webinar, you will receive the recording. We have an hour and a half for the webinar, though we have been known for the most engaged audience who keeps us longer. Each of our presenters will speak for around 8 minutes. Following an interchange among us, I will open the floor to questions and brief comments from the audience, from the virtual audience, I will then invite our panelists to conclude today's webinar with their quotes, last words. Please use the Q&A or chat functions, and we will do our best to respond to as many questions and brief comments as we can. Feel free to direct your question to a particular panelist or to the full panel. I now have the deep honor of welcoming Najla, our first speaker. Najla, the screen is yours. Please unmute.
Good evening, everyone, whenever or wherever you are. My name is Najla, and I'm from Kocho Village in Sinjar district, Iraq. Today, I would like to share my journey with education and explain why education has become one of the greatest sources of hope in my life. I stopped attending school after completing the sixth grade. Like many children in my village, I faced a major obstacle. There was no intermediate or secondary school in Kocho. Continuing my education required traveling long distances to another town or village, something that my family, like many other families, couldn't afford the expenses of transportation and moving back and forth. In addition, there were genuine security concerns. Many families were afraid to send their daughters to distant schools because of the lack of security and the fear of harassment. Unfortunately, there were also concerns that female students could be subjected to sexual harassment by some teachers, making the educational environment unsafe for many girls. For these reasons, I, like many other girls, had no choice but to discontinue my education. Then came August 2014, and my life changed forever. ISIS abducted me, and I remained in captivity for nearly 8 months until I managed to escape in April 2015. After my escape, I returned to school later that same year. However, I wasn't emotionally or psychologically ready to resume my education seriously because I was just trying to recover from a trauma that words cannot describe. I had lost many members of my family, and also I was struggling to rebuild my life after everything ISIS had done to me, to my family, and to my people. Also, during that period, I attended school simply trying to make it through each day. In 2023, I made the decision to dedicate myself to my education. Therefore, I studied diligently for 3 years, and by the grace of God, I completed my studies this year. I still vividly remember the day I received my graduation certificate. At that moment, I couldn't hold back my tears. Perhaps my teachers and fellow students couldn't understand why I was crying, but those were not simply tears of joy. They were the tears of a long journey marked by suffering, patience, and perseverance. I had struggled for many years to reach that goal. And when I finally achieved it, I realized that so many of the people I had wished could share that moment with me were no longer alive. Only a few remained to celebrate this achievement by my side. My experience has taught me that education is much more than earning a certificate. It's a source of hope and a pathway towards building a better future. Because for survivors, education is an essential part of the healing journey. Education restores self-confidence. Also, it opens opportunities for employment and help us move forward while preserving our memories and experiences. It also enables us to adapt to new environments, pursue our dreams, and believe in ourselves once again. For me personally, education restored my confidence or self-confidence and allowed me to look towards the future with optimism. It taught me that no matter how painful the past may be, it should never determine our future. My message to all survivors, especially girls and young people, is this: please never, ever give up on education, no matter what hardships and difficulties and obstacles you have endured. Education is one of the most powerful tools for rebuilding your life, achieving your dreams, and creating a better future for yourselves and for your communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Najla, for your generosity, for sharing with us, and for reminding all of us the decisive value of education in healing from such horrible traumas. Thank you again. Zirak, please unmute. The screen is yours.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here with you, all amazing people. Thank you for joining us from wherever in the world. And thank you, Dr. Daniel Lee, for your amazing work, not just for Yazidis, but for everyone, every oppressed community around the world. So let me share with you a presentation I prepared. So yeah, can you see the presentation?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
Perfect. So in this presentation, we will be talking about my town, Sharia, in the events before the genocide, and also during the genocide, and then after the genocide and the birth of Panaga organization. What was the purpose of Panaga organization? So Yazidis are a very peaceful community. They live mostly in Iraq and Kurdistan region. If you see the brown color, that is the area most of the Yazidis live. Also, there are many Yazidis in diaspora, but this is Yazidi hometown in Nineveh and Duhok areas. So for Yazidis, always like the value of education is highly valued. And the Yazidi community is a peaceful, peace-loving community that loves coexistence. And in the town of Sharia, always the people have loved to excel in their education, and that's what we have seen in the recent years. Many teachers, many doctors, even going to politics and inside Iraq to be parliament members and representing Yazidis in the best shape. So unfortunately, what happened in 3rd August changed the reality for many Yazidis, and the level of trauma and the level of violence and the intention of ISIS was really huge to eradicate Yazidi community from earth. So when during the 3rd of August, And the days following, the town of Sharia, which is a small town of 10,000 people, in a matter of day and night, become nearly 80,000 people. So all the teachers, the doctors, and all the community leaders, small and adults, young children, all of them tried to help and respond to this very immediate humanitarian situation. So we saw like the schools becoming shelters for these families, community centers turning to homes, and we saw even people like had to sleep on streets and under trees wherever it is possible. And many of the families around Sharia and all over Kurdistan and the Hog region tried to help, sharing what they have in terms of food and clothing and basic humanitarian needs. So these are some photos of the first days of genocide that express the level of disaster and the humanitarian crisis in the region. People get on trucks, pickups, and people were full of dust in the mid-heat of summer, seeking safety for their life. So the entire Yazidi community was in shock for what is happening, why it is happening, why we are targeted. And many people like left Iraq to go beyond like borders in Turkey and then into Europe to seek safe shelter. And I remember on those times, teachers have to merge classes because too many students left the area. So we saw the terrifying things ISIS were doing, and the people really were impacted, and especially the ones who were captivated by ISIS and who lost family members in these attacks. So as one of the survivors of ISIS captivity was telling us, when I first escaped, I was doing better. But now I'm just thinking about my abduction all the time. This reveals the importance of long-term treatment for the survivors of ISIS captivity and for the Yazidi community that still lives with the consequences of genocide. So as a result, in 2016, we started Panaga organization with a group of local teachers and psychologists to be able to make safe spaces where these kids and families can come together and express the traumas and be able to process the trauma that they are going through. And our goal was to let the kids heal and be able to continue their studies and be able to move forward. So we developed several programs that were helping these families. One of those was Safe Family, how families can support each other and build resiliency inside the family. And another important dominating aspect of Panaga work was art and play. So we offered art and play to the kids, so as a mean to heal from the trauma and to be able to express themselves through play and art. We offered character building and pop-up schools. Pop-up schools, we built mobile team that could go to remote villages where access to schooling and health services was none or limited. We visited families, especially those who were coming from captivity, to show our care and support. We offered educational, psychoeducational programs, and we helped with emergency response like food and medical needs of the people. So for us as Panaga, one of the core values of Panaga is healing that begins with human connections. We build a local team that have the love for the people and cares about the people, that is ready to sacrifice and bring healing to the community. So this is a photo of Panaga activity of pop-up school in one of the remote villages. So I can also share a story of one of the kids that benefited from Panaga programs was the little Aham. He came from the captivity in 2017 after 3 years in captivity. He lost uh, his mother tongue. He weren't able to speak Kurmanji or Kurdish anymore. He was acting violence. He was confused about who his family is. So we engaged him in Panaga programs where he could draw. And one of the first drawings that he drew for us was a drawing of a big bear and a man with a gun and with a and also shooting a target that has an aim. So this was clearly explaining the environment that this kid has been in. So during continuous support and continuous care, our team was able to build a safe connection between the kid and the family, where he can come forward and express himself. And gradually he remembered his mother tongue and started to build connection with his family. Now he lives peacefully with his uncle's family. His mother is still missing, and her fate is unknown. But his uncle takes care of him, and our team continues to visit him and check on him that he can pursue his education and be able to move on. The second story is the story of a little cute girl named Jean. When we did our pop-up school at the village, Jean was about 8 years old. She wasn't yet in any school or educational programs. The pop-up program was a program for her to come and be able to express her creativity. So she would always raise her hand, even if the teacher asks like whatever questions, she would raise her hand. Okay, I know the answer. I would like to answer. So we were really supporting her and her family, and we were happy that the following year she was able to go back to a school, and now she's continuing her school. So for us, Panaga organization, through the years of programming that we offered our community, we see the importance of connection and relationships. We see the importance of teachers who act as healers, who act as good listeners, and who care about their students. And we see like the importance of families staying together and helping one another. How important is this? And also a big aspect of Panaga organization where helping the families through the culture and traditions of our own community, where they could perform a traditional audition that could help the kids to to build his character and to have more confidence. So we see like a hope that is intentionally nurtured. Thank you very much for listening. We have hope. We have hope that Yazidis can do better. Yazidis have very smart, intelligent people that can go as far as anyone else, that can go get good degrees. So we want the world to hear us and support the Yazidi community. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Zirak. This is exactly what our center is for. So it's a perfect alignment.
Thank you.
Bazad, Bazad, I believe you're next. If you can put the lights on your face a little better so people can see. It's a nice face to look at too. So thank you. It's a bit dark. I told you, you're scared? Okay.
Well, first of all, good morning or good afternoon or good evening. I'm so sorry the electricity just shut down. This is Iraq. I'm sorry for that. So we have to wait until the electricity comes back. My name is Bahzar Farhan, and the founder of Kenyat organization. I will be speaking about the Yazidi experience and the Yazidi genocide. But before I speak about this point, I'll be speaking about some contextual information and my personal experience. In the 90s, I was a little child and we moved to Baghdad. We didn't have any information about the other communities. And other communities also were not aware about the Yazidi community or the Yazidi religion. As a child, because since we are speaking about education, then we always remember our childhood. And usually when we remember our childhood, we have good experiences. But I remember when I went to school, I was the only Yazidi child in that school. Unfortunately, I faced a lot of bullying from students and teachers as well. And my Arabic language also wasn't that good because my mother tongue was Kurdish. I was understanding Arabic, but I had a broken language, so my Arabic wasn't that good. I remember one of my female teachers slapped me. Or she slapped me on the face. And you could have seen even the scar. So she left a trace, unfortunately. And even my parents went to that teacher and she talked to them. But we realized that that teacher hates the Yazidis. And unfortunately, a lot of people have misconception about the Yazidis. They think that we are devil worshippers. And this is not true. This is just a misconception. But unfortunately, we are living in a community where the majority have this faith. And this also is one of the reasons that led to the genocide. So you go to school, you get bullied, and you go back home and you listen to your grandparents, and they will be speaking about, for example, the genocides that they've been through or they've witnessed or they've heard of. So I was always hearing about these stories. This is a part of our heritage. This is a part of our verbal heritage. Because we, as the Yazidi community, appreciate the verbal heritage. And therefore, I decided to start searching. I wanted to know what was that, or what were the causes of this genocide? Who were attacking the Yazidis? And there were some Ottoman documents which proved that there were about 300 genocides committed by the Ottoman Empire against the Yazidis. And most of the Yazidi young people have heard of these stories. But unfortunately, those stories that we used to hear came to life in 2014. Imagine in 21st century, in 2014, the same things that our ancestors used to talk about this happening or rehappening again against the Yazidis in 2014. And when I searched for the document, it was very difficult to find any documents regarding the massacres or the genocides committed against the Yazidis, because they were the conquerors, and the conquerors are the ones who write the history. And of course, they will not mention the genocide that they committed. And therefore, we decided to work on the documentation of this genocide for history and for commemoration, so nobody could deny the genocide that was committed against the Yazidis in 2014 onwards. So this was the purpose of my work, to document those crimes and those violations, so no one would say that this is not true and these crimes were not committed. And I started doing this documentation, and I started working on writing history by ourselves. And if you want to write history, what can you do? We took two ways or two paths. First, identifying the level of damage, the number of victims, and the names of the victims, and put them in a database. And the other aspect is related to ISIS. So regarding the victims, the first trajectory, first we identify the names of the victims and document the stories of the victims, the affected ones, the affected communities, the displaced people, and also the survivors, those who were in captivity, and how they were treated by ISIS. And also we tried to identify the perpetrators, to identify the names of the perpetrators or those who were affiliated with ISIS. And as I mentioned, we were documenting everything just for history. And we told her, for example, we documented everything regarding the Yazidis or regarding their stories and what they've been through. But the second trajectory was related to ISIS, because ISIS didn't come out of void. Because unfortunately, ISIS emerged as a result of religious extremism. And ISIS didn't come out of nowhere, but it came after the extremist organizations that started to emerge after 2003. And regarding ISIS, also we had two trajectories. The first one is to identify who were supporting them, the sources of support, and also who are the perpetrators. The second trajectory was the methodology, the approach that ISIS used to take. For example, maybe they committed certain crimes according to some religious verses or rhetorics, and we went to the social media platforms of ISIS, because in 2014, 15, 16, and 17, they were using social media platforms to promote or to encourage people to join them. So they were recruiting people through social media platforms, and they were promoting what they were doing, their ideologies, disseminating information through social media platforms, and also they published some books, articles, journals, posters. We developed a library of hundreds of pages, hundreds of documents and materials in order to understand the mentality and the ideology of this extremist group, and also how to address it, how to deal with it to prevent the recurrence of these crimes. Also in 2014, when ISIS attacked us, 90% of my family members are currently living in Germany. I remember in 2014, my father said, okay, we will not stay in Iraq anymore. Yes, maybe for me, I will not see another genocide, but maybe you will see it, my son. Or if you don't see it, your son will see it. So eventually it will happen. We will have the 74th or 75th and 76th genocide. But I decided to stay because we are always connected to our lands. If we leave our lands, then we will be dismantled. We will just disappear. we will lose our identity. That is why I'm really attached to the land, and I encourage everyone to be attached to their land. And in 2016, we moved to the next phase. Well, we're working with the human rights commissions. We worked on, for example, achieving justice. Most of the perpetrators who were trafficking the Yazidi women or children, those who were coming from abroad, from other countries, like, for example, from Europe or other countries, because they were able to afford it. And accordingly, we filed lawsuits against those perpetrators, and we shared all of the pieces of evidence. And in France, they opened 11 investigation files or cases. And in March 2026, the first prosecution in France, which we started, so they trialed the perpetrators. And we worked also with international impartial mechanism in Geneva. And we relied on all the documentations and all the pieces of evidence that we had. And we shared them with this international mechanism in order to prosecute those perpetrators, for example, in Australia, Canada, USA, and European countries. This is with regard to justice and getting justice served. I don't know how much time is left, but I have the final point that I would like to share with you. As Kenyan organization, the other goal that we are working on, as I mentioned, for the last 12 years, we have been documenting different cases, and we collected a lot of materials and evidence. And therefore, we would like to establish or build a museum that display or show what the Yazidis have been through, the stories, the experiences, and to tell the world what happened in 2014 and what are the causes of those crimes. Because we would like to work on the past, on the present, and also on the future to prevent the recurrence of those crimes. Do you have any more time, or that's it? He's just checking if he has more time. You're muted, Doctoria. You're muted, sorry.
Sorry. Out of respect to you. For the wonderful international audience, you can find the documents that Bazat is speaking about in the chat, listed in the chat, and you can save them, indeed. So, and Robbie, please save them for us as well. So go ahead, continue, Bazat.
Well, as I mentioned, as Kenyan organization, in addition to many other organizations, we worked on documentation, because documentation is the only mean that we could rely on. And it is the only weapon that we have as a small community, as a peaceful community. What we can do is just to document everything. Because if you document everything, this may help us to prevent the future genocides, because this community was able to preserve its culture, its identity, its traditions in the last thousands of years. But I believe that if we don't work on making changes, if we don't deal with the root causes of this genocide, then other genocides would be committed against the Yazidis. Because we can see the proliferation of ignorance and religious extremism and radicalizations, especially in the Middle East. Because I compare the society before 2003 and after 2014, we can see a high level of extremism and radicalization in our community, in the community that we're in. Because if you're surrounded by 40 million people, and if only 5,000 unify and decided to create an extremist group, then they could commit another genocide against us. Because even in Mosul, it started with 200 or 300 people. If you have the audience, if you have the supporters, if there are people who are embracing these kind of ideologies, and if they don't accept or tolerate new ideas or different people or different groups and different faiths and religions, then I believe that this will create a fertile environment for other extremist groups, which will lead to future genocides. And electricity came back the moment I finished. Thank you so much.
Okay. There shall be light. Thank you, Bazat, for your thorough presentation. Also for the amount of information you shared in the chat for people to learn more and more. And for focusing on another level of teaching and education than and remembering and remembrance, then we only focus on when that is seemingly limited when we speak about, technically speak about education. As everyone sees from Zirak's presentation, from Najla's presentation, even before the first real teacher, although Zirak, you're a teacher too, I know, but you are also an NGO. So even before Janan speaks, we've learned a lot, right? So there's teaching and there's reparative teaching in everything this webinar does. So thank you. And Janan, please, the screen is yours. Please unmute.
Well, good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning, wherever you are. First of all, I would like to thank you for organizing this wonderful webinar and for giving me this opportunity to join you today and discuss this important topic, the reality of education in Sinjar, and how the events of 2014 affected education, students and teachers, and how the people of Sinjar managed to preserve education despite all the challenges and difficulty or difficult circumstances. Before I speak as a teacher, I would like to speak as a student who lived through that period and witnessed those difficult circumstances, just like thousands of Yazidi students. In 2014, I was a secondary school student. After finishing secondary school, I had the same dream as any other student to attend university and continue my education. However, my family's financial situation at that time was extremely difficult, and I was forced to suspend my studies for 2 years and work in order to save enough money to pay for my education. And to be honest, it was a very difficult period at a time when I should have been attending college with my friends. I was working instead, but I always told myself that these hardships were not the end of the road. Rather, they were the beginning of a different life, a life filled with future success. For that reason, I never gave up and that I completed my education. And today, thank God, I'm a teacher. So this experience taught me that with determination, we can overcome even the most difficult circumstances. It also taught me that education is worth fighting for. I learned that students often face tremendous challenges while trying to continue their education. Therefore, when a teacher supports a student, even with simple word of encouragement, it can have a profound impact on that student's life. That's why I always try to stay close to my students. From the first day I entered the classroom, my goal was only to teach the curriculum. I believe that when students feel safe and confident, they learn better and become more motivated to continue their education. I constantly remind them that no matter how difficult life becomes, education is the one thing that no one can even take away from them. It is the key that opens the door to their future. I also try to be their friend before being their teacher. I want them to feel that if they have any problem, whether at school or at their personal lives, they can come and talk to me without fear. Sometimes they come to me to share their concerns, and I do my best to listen, support them, and guide them in whatever way I can. For me, students' success is not measured only by grades. True success is seeing a student become confident, develop dreams, and remain committed to education despite every college. I hope that I can play even a small role in restoring hope to the students of Sinjar because I truly believe that every student we help today will contribute to building our community tomorrow. If you look at the education in Sinjar after the events of 2014, schools were among the first institutions to restore hope to the region. And at the beginning, we had only 8 students in the whole city of Sinjar. So only 8 schools in the whole city. And in Sinuni sub-district, we had only 1 secondary school. And we had more than 1,200 students. Because we had students coming not only from neighboring villages, but also from Mount of Sinjar, where many displaced Yazidi families were still living. Despite the enormous number of students, the school had only 4 officially appointed teachers. Nevertheless, education continued because university graduates from the local community volunteered to teach. Thanks to the dedication of teachers, volunteers, and support of local families, and most importantly, the determination of students themselves, education survived during that difficult period. And at that time, there was almost no support except from few organizations such as the Nadia Murad Initiative. Today, however, there are approximately 130 schools throughout Sinjar. Teachers continue to improve themselves by participating in professional training courses and educational workshops. Today, a teacher's role goes far beyond teaching. Many of our students are survivors of genocide. Therefore, they require a different approach. They need someone who will stand beside them, support them, and help them adapt to their new reality. And despite all of these challenges, we now see that our students consistently achieving outstanding academic success. Many of them rank among the top students in Iraq and excel in universities and academic departments. Just about a month ago, the National Intermediate School examination results were announced, and one of our students achieved the first place in all of Iraq. When I speak about these achievements, I do not mean that everything in Sinjar is perfect or that our needs have been met. Rather, I want to emphasize that the determination and the resilience of the people of Sinjar are greater than all the hardships that they faced. So, not everything is ideal or not everything is available in Sinjar. But luckily, we have good determination as teachers, as doctors, as engineers. And I encourage all the teachers to share always positive words. So always my message to the teachers is this: every word you say, whether positive or negative, has an impact on your students, and always choose words that encourage and inspire them. Support your students because a single kind word from you may become the hope that motivates a student to continue their education. And my message to the students is never allow difficult circumstances to define your future. You will undoubtedly face many challenges, but your determination and perseverance will lead you to your goals. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Jinan, for your positive, hopeful message that follows Xerox hope, and for sharing with us the particular challenges of teaching after genocide. We will speak about it more in our dialogue. Thank you very much. And thanks for the good news about the student who became. That makes us all happy. We now have the last, not least, Naif, please, the screen is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my story. So first, I will wait to share the screen on my behalf. Yeah.
Perfect.
So my story is the story of how education transformed not only my own life, but also the capacity of my community to recover after genocide. So when people think about education after wars and conflicts, they often think about classrooms or degrees. So I would like to show that for communities like marginalized communities like Yazidis, education is much more than that. Education is a pathway for survival to leadership. Next slide, please. I was born on June 2nd, 1996 in a small mud-built village in Shingal. Like many other children in my community, I started working from a very young age. I sold ice cream, repaired bicycles, worked in grocery shops, and so many other things. I did whatever I could to support my family. At that time, higher education didn't seem like an obvious future. In May 2014, I completed grade 11. Only 3 months later, everything changed. Next slide, please. On August 3rd, 2014, the Islamic States of Iraq and Syria attacked my village. I was only 18 years old. For more than 3 hours, we were trapped under heavy fighting. Then we escaped to Shingal Mountain. About 1 week later, we reached Sharia in the Kurdistan region. At that time, official camps were not yet ready, so displaced families were accommodated in schools. The school where my family stayed sheltered more than 70 families. Although I had also just became displaced, I immediately started volunteering. My first humanitarian work was not managing projects or writing proposals. It was just washing dishes, helping families organize daily life, and supporting other displaced people. Next slide, please. A few months later, I joined Talent Organization, a local NGO that was supporting displaced families. For the first time, I saw how organized civil society could improve people's lives. Every day I kept asking myself one question. So, why don't we have our own organization? Why shouldn't survivors themselves become part of rebuilding the future? So on January 1st, 2015, while I was still only 18 years old, together with a small group of volunteers, we launched Sunrise. We had no office, no funding, no institutional experience, only commitment. Next slide, please. Sunrise started growing, but very quickly I realized something important. Commitment was not enough. I could not communicate professionally in English. I didn't know how to write proposal. I didn't understand budgeting, finance, project management, or organizational leaderships. The more responsibility I carried, the more I realized how much I still needed to learn. So I made a difficult decision. I returned to school after postponing one academic year because of the genocide. Later, I completed grade 12, which is the last stage of high school, and I graduated as a one of the among the top 10 students in the first examination round. I first joined petroleum engineering, but after 1.5 years, I made another difficult decision. I left engineering because I believed engineering was not wouldn't provide the skills my community needed from me. And instead, I accepted a scholarship to study business administration at the American University of Iraq, Sulaimani. So at that time, I said to myself, it is better to regret 1.5 years than to regret the rest of my life. So next slide, please. While I was learning at university, Sunrise was also learning. At the end of 2018, Sunrise received an organizational capacity building program from the International Organization for Migration, IOM. We learned proposal writing, budgeting, finance, monitoring, and project management. As a part of the capacity building program, in January 2019, Sunrise received its first small grant from IOM. Financially, it was very small. It was just like a small grant. Strategically, it changed everything. We opened our first office in Shingal. When the project ended, we had no additional funding. Closing the office would have been the easiest decision. And instead, I reduced my own personal expenses and helped pay the office rent until another opportunity arrived. Because from the beginning, we believed we will ask everyone to support us, but we will never wait for support before acting. Next slide, please. So now I can emphasize an important practical example of having a prepared local NGO. So during the COVID-19, many international organizations had to reduce their field presence because of travel restriction. Sunrise was already rooted in the community. So through this project, we reached more than 104 different locations, including villages, complexes, neighborhoods. We supported 5,200 families. And at that time, people had lost their income and mobility was extremely limited. So our local presence allowed us to continue serving the community. That experience taught me one important lesson. So a prepared local organization is not simply an implementing partner. It becomes part of community's ability to survive crisis. So another example, as many of you remember that when Trump signed an executive order to stop the US aid to organization in many countries in the world, so many local NGOs suffered. But at that time, so next slide, please. At that time, Sunrise, instead of stopping the work, again we responded to that crisis. We have the capacity program for a group of local NGOs, and we provided grants to 2 local NGOs for 10 months to support the communities. So the grant that we provided, it was much bigger financially than the first one that we received. And also in these challenging situations, we have been training, and by the end of 2027, we will be supporting 300 unemployed youth through capacity building. Also, we will provide every single one of these 300 to have their own business through a grant. So we can see this is the real impact of education. So education creates opportunity. Strong institutions multiply these opportunities. So next slide, please. So one of the consequences of limited education after genocide and also before the genocide, was that the many survivors, immediately after genocide, so we're not present in international discussions. So other people often spoke on our behalf. Many did this honestly and professionally, but there is a difference between speaking for survivors and creating the conditions for survivors to speak for themselves. Education gave me that opportunity, enabled me to represent my community in universities, conferences, and international discussions, while Sunrise continued expanding its impact on the ground. Next slide, please. So today, Sunrise has implemented from a very small group, from a volunteer group. So Sunrise today has implemented more than 30 strategic projects, partnered with more than 15 international organizations, and served more than 40,000 people, and registered in Kurdistan, in Iraq, and in the Netherlands. So, and also for me personally, I completed my bachelor degree, graduated cum laude, in master degree, and I'm happy Tomorrow's Leader alumnus, and I'm also project management professional certified, and I'm certified sustainable project professional, besides 200 other courses and training. So we can see, for the Yazidi community, education is not about finding employment. It's about preserving history, documenting crimes, building institutions, participating in decisions, responding to crises, and ensuring that future generations are able to represent themselves. So next slide. Before I conclude this, I want to share this. I began this journey as an 18 years old displaced student, washing dishes in a school, sheltering displaced families. Today, I stand before you because education gave me the opportunity to transform lived experience into service. But more importantly, it helped transform a small volunteer initiatives into an institution serving thousands of people. I would like to leave you with one final thought. Education didn't only rebuild my future, it strengthened my community's capacity to shape its own futures. Thank you so much for being here and for listening.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your story, your personal story and professional story and activist story, and for showing us, as some of the other panelists have shown, that education has ripple effects, like individual, family, group, community, and hopefully world. Many people in the audience are talking about it's a good time to network. How can we all network? So it's all related. I wonder, this is the time for a dialogue among you. If you have any question or brief comment to each other before we go to the question from the audience or the comments from the audience. Anyone? No? Go ahead,
Yeah.
Jim.
Yeah, but just my comment would be, I was amazed about the amazing work that these young people do. And I'm so glad to be here and sharing this platform with them. And this is really an inspirational for all Yazidi young generation and kids to keep pushing forward and being the best version of themselves.
So I have a question to all of you. All of you are really working with traumatized people, right? With either survivors, child survivors. How do you do it? What toll, if any, does it take on you? I mean, Jainan, you were talking about the need to listen. People in the audience talk about even an organization called named for listening. Many colleagues that we know from different times of history are here with us to talk about that. Are you aware of any particular ways that this really sacred work that you're all doing affect you? Bazad is looking at horrible documents. How does it affect you, dear? Would you reflect on that, please? Fazad, would you like to start?
Well, regarding the impact, I graduated in 2016, and in 2017, I met one of my friends. And regarding the impact, my friend said that we used to be colleagues at college, but you look very different. You have changed. So regarding the impact, yeah, of course, we were impacted, we were affected, because we have heard a lot of traumatic, horrific stories and the gross violations that were committed against those victims and those survivors. So of course, it will have an impact on not only me, but on a lot of people who worked on those cases and on the whole Yazidi community.
Mm-hmm.
Because it created a sort of uncertainty and insecurity.
I wonder, would anybody else want to comment on that? Thank you, Bazad, for sharing. Najla, what is your activity? How does you're both a survivor and an activist. Would you say a sentence or two about that? Please unmute. Najla?
Well, thank you for this invitation and for giving us a chance to share our stories. Well, it's like for us as survivors, yes, of course, we encountered several challenges. We have been through a lot. And I know that life is difficult. Life has been difficult for us a lot, but of course, we need to move on. And we were very grateful to the support of organizations because the organizations helped us to move forward. And I hope that these organizations will continue supporting those survivors and those affected communities. So not only us, but the rest would be able to move on. And all the other small communities or small minorities, not even the Yazidis, but even the other minorities would be able to move on and continue their lives. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for responding. Anybody else would like to? I can see that. I don't want to put you.
Jinan had her hand raised.
Oh, wonderful. Go ahead, Janat.
Well, before becoming a teacher, I thought that you as a teacher, you just need to explain the academic subjects, the scientific subject. I didn't think that I have to dive deep into all of these humanitarian aspects and the human aspects. Because when I became a teacher at the beginning, Yes, I wanted to build a good rapport with the students, but I've never thought that students would come to me and explain their problems or whatever happens in their lives. Now, in my school, whatever happens, if the students face any problems, they would just come to me to share their problems because they think of me as their counselor, and I always try to guide them. So I never realized that teachers could play this role.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Absolutely. And people in general don't necessarily think that. You know, teachers are supposed to teach, but teachers spend a lot of time with children, and many of them naturally, out of caring, realize that some children need more attention, some children need listening to rather than just teaching, straight informational teaching. So thank you for sharing your impression. And I would like to share with everyone, including the audience, before we go to the question and answer period, that some of you who have followed us consistently know that we've had a series of webinars. We have over 90 webinars. Each webinar is to learn from. But among those 90 webinars, we have close to 10 that we called Reparative Justice series, where we were focusing on the process and outcome of justice and the challenges of those. And we indeed have today begun another series on reparative education. And our next webinar indeed will be an international webinar of teachers from different communities who underwent genocide or crimes against humanity or war crimes or horrible other traumas, crime of aggression. To share with each other internationally the lessons they have learned. So please, those of you who are interested, keep sending us, indeed, send us recommendations for such representative teachers from your own community who could speak in our series. But if you go to all of the webinars we've done, you've learned a lot about how each one of you can contribute. And we always listen, we always respond. So please, don't be shy. And if you don't get a response right away, it means I have 200 on one day. So wait a little and write me again. So, and not only me, all of our board, you'll find all of it in the website. So does anyone on the panel still want to comment on each other's, what you've learned from each other? If not, I will open the floor to question and answers from the audience. The audience appreciate you very, very much, and justifiably so. It's wonderful to see the audience is really from everywhere, which is our dream. We dream that the center will be able to embrace people who care about victims' rights, people who care about healing after trauma, people who care about how to make the world a better place after trauma and for the next generation. So let me go now through question and answers from the audience. I will Let me start with one that is actually more about reparative justice, which is just fine. It's from Shamu, who Zira and I know from our conference in Erbil last August. Hi, Shamu, it's wonderful to have you. So Shamu is asking Bazad directly, what are your thoughts on whether Yazidi sufferers will receive reparations for their pain and suffering? Do you expect a positive outcome from the civil case in New York? Go ahead, Bazat. Bazat? Oops. Bazat, please unmute.
Well, for the Yazidis, reparation is important, and also what they care about is prosecution and getting justice served. And regarding the case in New York, I guess it just was related to Lafarge, company or corporation, but in France. But I'm not familiar with this case, because what we're working on currently is identifying the perpetrators, and in future we're planning to work against the corporations and the companies that were funding or supporting ISIS. And filing a lawsuit even against Telegram, because they were making facilitations for ISIS members, and because they created groups and they were chatting and communicating with each other, and they were big groups. And from Telegram, they were trafficking or selling the Yazidis, and they were selling the Yazidi children and women. And even though people or everybody knew that Telegram or ISIS were using Telegram to sell or to traffic the Yazidi people, but unfortunately there were no interventions. And hopefully, in close future, we'll be working on this case, and we will rely on the pieces of evidence and the documentation that we have made. I hope that my answer was clear to you. Thank you.
Thank you for responding. We can talk more about that, of course. Let me move to Modi Arcangelo's question. Can the panelists provide their contacts, like email, for follow-up of some of the experiences they've done to cope with the situation? Those of you who feel free to put your email in the chat. Then Thikran asked, Thikran Mata, who is director of Nobody's Listening, asked how to network with the audience here. Well, you keep, as I wrote you keep with us, keep coming to our webinar. Write me about what your focus is, where you are located, and see if we can collaborate in some ways, and let me know a lot more, okay? Let me see. Emmanuel Niyibizi from Rwanda is basically saying it's a good moment for networking. Indeed, it is. It's an interesting that Emmanuel from Rwanda, I don't know if Emmanuel knows, but some of you know that in 2001, we held a meeting in Rwanda of all genocide survivors groups. I had the honor of serving as international president of that. And it started when the Rwandan, when Ibuka, the Rwanda's umbrella survivors organization, asked me if I would bring Holocaust survivors there to, quote, teach us how to live after death. And it expanded to being a meeting of all survivors groups. To me, it was the most meaningful, as it was for everyone there, the most meaningful meeting in my life. It was 26 years ago. No, it's not 25 years ago. And I was actually hoping at the year 2026 to have another such world meeting. We did not manage to raise funds for it, so all of us have to raise the funds together to create something like this. But I'm still working on it, but each one of you has to. And we will do it. As long as we are all committed, we will make it happen. Otherwise, we will continue to do our best to use the internet as we do now. But any idea is absolutely welcome. Shamu also is writing to you, Naif. I'm not sure how to join you. Oh, that's about your mailing list. That's okay. And anyone, whenever you have a question to any of the panelists, you have any issue about reaching them, just write to me and we will immediately, Robbie, I will immediately forward it to the panelists. Helen Rost is asking, thank you everyone for this amazing webinar. My name is Helene, Helene Rost. She's connecting from Switzerland. Do you children ask questions about your personal history? If so, how do you share it with them? Who would like to take that question? Helene, do you mean their own children or the children in their classes or in their NGOs? Please answer, and we will come back to that. And Emmanuel Nibisi again asks about education and empowerment. So Helene, answer me in the chat. I will get back to you. Emmanuel is asking about Zenat for you. Emmanuel is asking, how can education programs be designed to not only support survivors, but actually give them the tools to tell their own stories and lead advocacy efforts? And he's asking also about challenge. What are the biggest barriers you've seen to education for survivors in conflict zones? And what solutions have worked best to overcome them? So, Janan, please unmute, and any one of you can pick up the second part, please.
Well, could you please just repeat the question?
Oh, sure. Let me go back. How can education programs be designed to not only support survivors, but actually give them the tools to tell their own stories and lead advocacy efforts? I'm sure that Zirak and Naif has something to say about that as well. But go ahead, Janan.
Well, for example, if you're dealing with the students, you just need to be close to those students, to listen to them, support them, and automatically they will come to you and express themselves. So you as a teacher, you just build a strong rapport with the students, and this will give them hope, and they will see their teacher as a friend. So being close to your students, building a strong rapport with your students, this will help those students or survivors to express themselves, to share their stories, to share their problems with you.
Okay, anyone else wants to talk about that? Well, we'll keep these questions also for other webinars, and please, Emmanuel, keep coming. And Tamara also. Tamara is, and I know that some of you, at least Naif and Zira, can say something about the empowerment of survivors via education. Zira?
Yes.
Please.
So yeah, I think coming back from the captivity, and especially for kids, many of them have been brainwashed and indoctrinated into an extremist ideology. And for those who have been kept in captivity for a long time, so they have lost so much years of schooling. Unfortunately, the governmental system does not accept older people to be enrolled in the schools, and they are behind their colleagues. So I think, as our colleague Naif said, it is very important to enable the survivors and provide them with all the equipments that they can be able to share their story. They are really a treasure, and what have happened should be told to everyone in the world. That these stories humanity should learn from them. And we can only do that if we support the survivors to equip them with every necessary aspect so they can continue and have the hope and be able to share the story to the world.
Thank you. I think that's part of what drives Bazat to continue to end Najla, to continue to share, right? Continue to make sure the world knows. For the audience who might not know, I mentioned the Yazidi working group before that Zirak is co-chairing with Dr. Michelle Sanders. We meet every 2 weeks, every other week, regularly, without fail. Those of you who want to join the working group, please, just write us and join, and you'll be most welcome. Because we believe the working groups, the webinars are, time limited, and we can do as much as possible. And we keep revisiting. But the working group really meet regularly. And they are an amazing source of support, learning, creativity, fighting, good fighting, and good solutions. So please, you're most welcome. We have a Yazidi working group, a Ukraine working group, a Rwanda working group. We have actually, Matilda is asking a question. Donna is here asking a question. I would read her question later. We have a nuclear working group. We have an indigenous working group. I'm probably forgetting several. So we have a youth group. Again, it's the meetings every 2 weeks. So you're most welcome. And I don't know a better way to network than that. And I don't know a better way to learn from each other. And to really learn in depth about that. Zirak, I hope you agree with my invitation. Please, you're the co-chair.
There's no greater power than coming together and sharing for the same goal. And I think we are all here for the same goal, for a peaceful and harmonious world. So this is what we want, and we're especially minorities can live peacefully.
Indeed. Now, if I see your hand is up, we have a lot of questions. I told you our audience never ends on time, and I'm the same way. Go ahead, Naif.
So thank you everyone for your contributions and adding on. So I want to just add something to what already Kagzirak contributed to. So regarding empowering survivors, so maybe many of the attendees they are not very well aware of the the challenges before the genocide. So when the last genocide took place or happened against the Yazidi community, we have a very small number of educated Yazidis, especially those who were in Shingal. So that's why when there were so many opportunities to either to good positions with international organization or to speak up on themselves, but unfortunately the doors were closed because we were not able to. For me at that times, I couldn't communicate in English at all. I was just a grade 11 graduate, so it was very challenging. So that since 2014, that many Yazidis, globally, they have graduated, they have been educated. So that's why now they can share their stories. And also this is kind of late because during the, 2014, where we were not able to speak on our behalf, some other people, with all love and respect to those, they did honestly and professionally, but others they didn't do so. They translated in a different way. They kind of disappeared the facts what happened to Yazidis. But today, we can speak on our behalf. So that's why it's very important to share the lived experience of survivors to the world. And another reason, so now we are talking about 24 genocides, but we only highlighting only one, because none of us know or have evidence from 73 other genocides. So that's why education is not just like an option. I would never give an option to Yazidis community or other marginalized communities. So if they can go to school or not, it should be something mandatory, because this is something not only we pay price for ourselves. Not for example, it's not about if I'm not educated, I will not have a good job. For Yazidis, it's not about that. It's about the surviving, and about the surviving everything that belong to the community. So it's not just about the employment, but about surviving. So just I wanted to add this to empowering the survivors and the importance of that.
Thank you. Perfect. Bazad, talking about networking, going back to networking a little bit. Bazad, I promised you I will introduce you to our colleague, a Rwandan colleague, who is working on creating museums and libraries and with similar initiatives to yours. This is part of why we have all the different working groups, and want to create a get-together of all so they can learn from each other. But in the meantime, we will have a special webinar just about that. We are planning it on commemorative, not only commemorative events, but commemorative institutions. So we are totally concurring with the passions in this room. Ikram Kasim, Kasim, you're asking me about long-term recovery, trauma recovery. In my professional opinion, what are the most effective approaches to healing from childhood trauma, and to what extent it's still possible for individuals to recover from trauma experiences that occur during adolescence, even years later. Shock after the Yazidi genocide as well. Thank you. You're saying rightfully, I'm not sure if this question is related to this webinar, but if it is, here it is. So if it's not directly related, be in touch with me, but also go through many of the webinars on our website that examine exactly these kind of questions. Then you can write me directly and I can write you back with what I myself have written about that. About whether there's hope, I believe there is. That's why I keep doing what I'm doing. So, yes, there is hope. We just have to commit to it and to withstand the challenges along the way, and to learn how to live with very painful past and painful knowledge about humanity and what humanity can do to its members, what some members of humanity can do to others. So thank you for asking, but be in touch also. Then Majid Bozo says, as a member of the Yazidi community, I strongly agree with Mr. Bazad's point that till this day, after 20 years after the genocide, the Yazidi people cannot feel safe and build positive thoughts for their future in the region of the Middle East. As we can observe the growing radicalism around at the time that Yazidi communities still suffer the effects of genocide and the lack of support. Majid, it's extremely painful commentary. You're not the only people who feel that way. That's why Zirak knows we spoke about studying minorities in many contexts also. Does anyone want to comment on that?
Yeah.
But briefly, dear, we have so many other concerns. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, the circumstances for minorities and especially Yazidis are the same as before 2014. Still, half of the Yazidi community is displaced. No justice has taken place. The area is still disputed and under conflict, and there are several armed groups. So basically, it is not any better than 2014.
Yeah. Majid, the only comforting word I can share is that your concerns are shared by many others, not just Yazidis. So maybe we can help each other too. Shamu is saying to you, Zirak, for the wonderful sharing. It was uplifting. I'm so curious about the art and outdoor work you do. The pub school looks so idyllic. It is. I've been there. But of course, it is not easy for the students for the students and teachers to work in this environment. Can't wait to experience your work on the ground when I visit. I strongly recommend it. Shamu. Okay.
حاليا زميلي يترجم.
Okay. Okay, Helene said that actually when she asked the question about the children asking you a question, she meant your own children, not your students in school. So does any one of you want to respond to that? Okay, so let me move on. Modi is asking Mr. Sabri, how do you deal with stigma in the school, and what was the contribution of the government to allow your people heal from trauma of genocide? This all then asks such difficult questions. Go ahead, Naif. Would you like to comment on that briefly?
Yes, definitely. So like for the part about stigma in a school, I'm not a school teacher, so I really don't know how to respond to that part. But the second part I'm very interested in. So to be honest, like we have so many challenges regarding when it comes to the government. So like even the schools, almost all of them were rehabilitated by organizations, and they didn't provide, or they didn't facilitate the process of rehabilitation, even though like they didn't provide like financial support. But this is very challenging, and even the curriculums, the ways of teachings, they don't help the community recovery, and unfortunately.
Thank you. There's so many important questions. There's no way we can deal with all of them. Even I read all of them in the time we have left, even though we are prolonging it by half an hour anyhow. Amina, our dear group member, she says, education was one of the strongest sources of resilience for the Yazidi community in the face of ISIS genocide. It gave people hope, strength, and the determination to rebuild their lives despite unimaginable suffering. We hope that education will always remain the road to recovery, justice, and brighter future, empowering the Yazidi community to reclaim its rights and build lasting peace. Amen, Amina. Then Jian Al-Hamad, thank you very much. I truly appreciate. I would also like to share that I'm a Yazidi survivor. Like many others, this is extremely important. Zirak knows how painful it was for me to learn about this. Shian continues. I lost years of my education because of the genocide. I had to leave my small village, and my studies were interrupted for 5 years. Despite everything, I never gave up. After those difficult years, I resumed my education and later graduated from Sorbonne University in Paris. My journey has taught me that no matter how difficult life becomes, we should never give up. Education gave me hope, strength, and the opportunity to rebuild my life. To everyone who has faced hardship, I want to say, never give up on your dreams. Keep believing in yourself, because life goes on and there's always hope for a new beginning. Thank you all for your commitment to justice, education, and the Yazidi community. God bless you, Jian. It couldn't have been said better. Okay, Galavejaf, do you believe that the Yazidi remaining outside their homeland has a negative impact due to customs, tradition, language, and especially in terms of education? Does anyone here want to? Najla, you're outside the country. Would you like to speak to that? Okay, this is a very important question, and it will remain a subject. Go ahead, Najla. We would love to hear your opinion about that.
نعم في تأثيرات
Yes, of course. There are some negative impacts on the Yazidis being abroad, because especially the young generations or the children do not know their identity, or maybe have lost their Yazidi identity, or they don't know, for example, where their parents were raised or brought up. And if people ask them, where are you from? They would say, just from Iraq. They don't know where exactly from Iraq. So the young generation, or the children would say, oh, I'm from Hanover. Because some of them, they were born there. Or some of them would say, like, I'm from Stuttgart. Therefore, we can say, yes, we have challenges, especially regarding the identity and the traditions. And not only those who are living abroad, but even those who are living inside the country, those who are living in the camp or under the tent, they don't know, for example, where they are from. They don't know the names of their villages, original village. And also, the children, the age of 10, for example, they may have difficulty in continuing their education. So, for example, I'm 35 years old, but still 2 weeks ago, I graduated from school and I finished the 9th grade. But in Iraq, unfortunately, if your education was interrupted for some years, then according to the law, you'll not be allowed to continue your education, like your normal education, or you cannot attend school or go to school anymore. And also not to forget that more than 2,000 Yazidi children and girls and women are still missing. And many mass graves haven't been exhumed yet. And there are many families who are still living in camps. And outside Iraq, for example, Australia and Canada.
Exactly.
For example, I'm with my sisters in Germany. My brother is in Canada. My older sister is in Australia, and my younger brother is in Iraq. So our families have been scattered into different places. Yeah, but of course, life goes on, and we have to continue, and we have to accept this reality. But of course, there are a lot of challenges, especially for survivors, but not only survivors, for the whole community, because the whole community is a survivor, and the whole community of the Yazidis are struggling. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, the scattering of families is also quite worrisome and adds another difficulty, I'm sure, even though it's enriching sometimes. And there's so many key issues that we have not looked at from this brilliant audience chat and other questions. I want to just amplify the children who lost schooling. They did not have the opportunity to go back to school, or because of particular conditions after the genocide, even after they came home. I have not been able to go back to school. And that is a very painful issue. This is what we call, under other circumstances, lost generations. Well, no generations should be lost. So if the government provides only a certain amount or only a certain length of time, we have to fight for more. And because education, as you heard from quite a few, can be so reparative. Let me just quickly give you ideas about the other questions. Donatilla Mukamana, my dear Donna from who is on our advisory council from Rwanda, the member of the Yazidi community who survived the genocide and remained in the country currently, are they safe? If so, how do you contribute to their safety? This is an important question, and it's not the only one who asked that question. Zozik Abdo says, I attended an Australian Federal Police workshop 2 days ago on the issue of ISIS members returning to the country. Who should we contact to provide evidence against these individuals so they can be prosecuted for their crimes? And Zozik also says, are there any international organizations working alongside the Yazidi people to help preserve the ancient culture and ancestral land? Anyone want to quickly comment on these issues? Each one of them deserves its own webinar. And Zozik, please check all of our Yazidi webinars. We have quite a few. All of you, because you are so interested, please learn all of them, because we have addressed some of your questions in depth in other webinars. But in addition to doing that, also write us to suggest other webinars and join our working group. I mean, Shamu, you were a member of our great working group. You just got too busy with your educational obligations. But we consider you a member whenever you have the time. Wonderful. So Shamu, you're welcome to join back. It's all yours. Wonderful.
Well, we have Bahzat, his hand is raised.
Wonderful. Okay, I don't know that we can, we really have to stop. Yeah. So thank you. Well, the panelists have the last words after I say the following. Please join us. These are brilliant questions, amazing presentations. Clearly, a lot of the audience is very caring and would like to do your best to help. There are plenty of problems. There's a lot of passion and spirit and hope. And actually, in answer to the culture and religion, one of our group members want to know more about the religion. So he is now organizing another webinar, because we had another one already, another webinar on his dream teachers on religion. So we can do all of that. Thank you. And please, each one of you, last words. Let's go from the end to the beginning. So, Naif, please, your last words today, just today.
So I want to thank everyone joined us today. And my word, I believe fighting for justice is something deserve like to devote all week like whatever we can.
Oh, thank you. You become
شكرا
a
جزيلا.
member of the group. You have no choice. I already decided. Okay. I think next should be Jenan.
It
Come
was
on.
Jinan.
Yes, Jenan, please. What are your last words just for today?
صراحة ما عندي شيء بعد أضيفه بس.
Well, I don't have anything else to say, but I really liked this webinar. It was a great experience, and I enjoyed listening to the experiences of the speakers, and I hope that you continue with this webinar and you keep focusing on education in the upcoming webinars. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And we will definitely make sure you'd be here with us. Okay. Who, come on. Where is Bazad? I think
Fahzat.
Bazad, please, now that you have the light, share with us the last words.
Well, thank you all. And 12 years have passed since the genocide of 2014. And we're so pleased to see that people thousands of kilometers away, but still they care about us. They care about the Yazidi community. This gives us hope as Yazidis that we're not alone, that there is a huge power, and there are a lot of groups of people who care about us and how are supporting us. So I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bazad. I suppose, Zirak, go ahead.
Yes, I think it is said that the greatness of a nation is by how they treat their minorities. Yazidis deserve better from the Iraqi government and the Kurdistan government. And I also want to applaud Najla today for being with us and sharing her story. She's really an inspiration to all the survivors. We wish her the best. Thank you.
Najla, rightly so. You have the last word.
هسه الكلمة الختامية لنجلة.
But you have to promise to stay in touch with us and maybe to join the group sometime. Go ahead, please. Whoops, where is she? Oh, what happened? Oh, here she is. Please share with us your, so to speak, last words.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you all for giving us this opportunity. And we would like to thank all the organizations who supported our community and all the communities, all the groups, all the individuals who supported us. And thank you for shedding light on education and how it can be the best tool or mean to move forward. And I hope that you will continue this kind of work, and hopefully we'll stay in touch. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, everyone. Until next time. A big hug.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.